Hello, guys. This is Mário Lima, Hypnosis Podcast, episode number 2. Today we're featuring Turan Mirza. So, today we have Turan Mirza. Let me just say, he is based in Northern Ireland and has been practicing hypnosis for over 10 years now. In that time, he has changed from using hypnosis as a hobby through entertainment hypnosis to hypnosis for powerful change in people's lives. He now gives back to the hypnosis community, having spoken at hypnosis conventions such as Hypnothoughts Live in Las Vegas, UK Hypnosis Convention, and recently the International Hypnosis Convention based in Zurich. He has developed his own training program and mentors and supports other hypnotists together with Sheila Granger in her Hypnosis Growth and Hypnosis Connect programs. But rather than a lengthy introduction, let's talk to Turan and find out about his journey, and hopefully we'll learn something interesting about hypnosis. So Turan, how are you doing, first of all?
I'm good. Glad to be here. Thanks very much for inviting me along to this. That's great.
Okay, I hope the weather in Northern Ireland is really good now. I don't know, how's the weather?
Well, they say the weather in Ireland is either wet or rainy, so it's only wet today. It's not raining.
Today in Porto, it's actually also rainy, so it's today we're similar. Okay, so Turan, to get the ball rolling, let's just delve into the first question. What I really want to ask you, if we were to take a step back, tell me about your introduction to hypnosis. But before you became a hypnotist, what was your life about? So let's take a step back and tell me a bit of your background.
Well, as young as I look, I wasn't always a hypnotist. As you pointed out in the introduction, I've been doing this for just over 10 years now. Before that, I was a software engineer and writing software. Then I became a software manager. And at the end of that career, I was actually a director of engineering for a major oil and gas company. So I was managing, software engineers, mechanical engineers, electronic engineers. And as an overlap during that time, I just got interested. Well, I have 4 kids, put it that way. I have 4 kids, and I used to do little dad things, let coins vanish and reappear behind my children's ears and stuff. And they used to be, wow, that's wonderful, Dad. You're magic. I wouldn't have had the confidence back then to do magic in front of adults, because I would think, oh, they're gonna laugh. They're gonna no, it's just not real. But the kids, were entranced by it. And I saw what I thought was a magic trick. And I thought, oh, I want to do that in the kids. But when I looked into how that was done, I realized that was hypnosis and not magic. And I'll almost say the rest is history. I just got the bug from then. I started to read up on the subject, watch videos, look at YouTube.
Do you remember the first book you read?
Oh, the first book. Oh, you put me on the spot there for the first book. I've got so many books now, it's hard to remember.
Do you remember which one was the first?
I have to look across to my Bible there now.
No problem.
See, but it probably was something like one of, and again, I'll mention NLP in terms of Richard Bandler and stuff. It's probably one of Frogs and the Princes or something like that there book. For me, NLP and hypnosis are the same thing. And if you look at, as I did, I got VHS tapes and everything. I mean, like I said, I've only started this in the last 10 years. So starting about 2010, and already VHS was a thing of the past. You're probably too young to know what a VHS is as well. But
I still know. That's the problem. I still know.
But if you look at those early tapes of Richard Bandler teaching NLP, it was hypnosis. It's all hypnosis. I don't sort of interchange those two names, hypnosis and NLP. To me, it's all really hypnotic.
The original NLP was hypnosis. Nowadays, it's more fluid, but in the old days, it was hypnosis. You didn't have a difference.
Well, that's it.
And you remember that first moment, the first moment you hypnotized somebody. Can you still remember that moment? Who the person was? What happened? How did it go?
Indeed. It's actually a funny thing. I'd probably spent about 9 months, which doesn't sound long, especially if you're a pregnant woman that flies in. But I'd spent about that time reading up on it, and I hadn't the nerve again, to do this in someone else. I always say if you're learning to juggle, it's very easy because when nobody's looking and you're standing next to a fruit bowl, you can just grab an apple and an orange and practice, and you might bruise the fruit and drop the items, whatever you're juggling. Hopefully not ornaments and glass balls.
Yeah.
But for so I didn't have the nerve, but I went on a real training course with a guy called James Tripp, lovely guy, and because I thought, what am I missing here? I've read all this stuff. I must be missing some little bit that they hold back from the books. But I realized, I mean, his training is excellent. Don't read the wrong thing out of this, but I learned nothing new, but it reinforced everything in the world that I'd learned to that stage. Yeah. So I hypnotized someone on the way home at the airport.
Oh, yeah.
And that's really where I got the bug for what we would call street hypnosis. It was Sunday night. So as you can imagine, the airport wasn't that busy. It was an airport in the Stansted Airport in the UK.
Okay.
Not as big as Heathrow. Place was quiet. Nobody was in a shop, one of the airport shops. And I just turned around to the sales guy and said, "You look bored. Would you like to see some entertainment?" And he says, "Yeah, nothing's going on here. What do you do?" And technically speaking, as much as I've been studying and enjoying reading up on this stuff for almost a year, 9 months, I said, "I'm a hypnotist," when, dare I say it, I'd never hypnotized anyone before. So they said, "Yeah, show me." And well, really, the rest is almost history now. That was the first person. I just stuck their hand to the table so they couldn't move their hand from the table. And they were amazed by it. And I feverishly, like a school kid.
It was your first moment.
That was the first moment. And after that, you just realized this stuff works, and I know how to do it. And it was almost a hypnotic moment in itself, because it was an avalanche from not having that confidence to feeling like I was Superman and could do this 100 times over.
You hypnotize the person and hypnotize yourself on the confidence of being a hypnotist.
That's how this stuff works.
We have never spoke about that before, but what's interesting is that I have a similar story, because the first person I hypnotized, for me, it's the real life scenario. Because if you think about hypnotizing people on a therapy office, maybe this case was not the first person, but for me, it's the real deal is outside in the world. So it actually was also in a shop, because I had a fellow partner that I used to practice hypnosis when I was starting out with street hypnosis, and we went to a different city. So you were in the airport, okay? So if everything went wrong, you get on a plane, you fly back home, and that's it. I did it kind of the same. I went to a different city, and then I entered the store, and that was this sales clerk. And I actually said, "Do you want to see something amazing? I'm a hypnotist. I'm going to hypnotize." And she said, "Sure, let's go." And I just did it. It worked. I think it was the fingers and the hand stuck. And then again, I exit the store and I say, "Oh, it's a special moment in my life, because it's the first time you do it. It's something special. It's really
that's it. Special." No, and again, delighted to hear your story with such an overlap with mine. Because that's what I teach. And a lot of people, when I went back for more training, and I was in a room with predominantly hypnotherapists, well, all hypnotherapists. There's only about 6 people on the training course, but there was 5 people were hypnotherapists. And then there was myself, who by that stage had done a bit of street hypnosis. Mm-hmm. And it was like a mutual admiration society, because I was in awe of them. They were helping people change their lives. And I thought, well, all I'm doing is sticking people's feet to the floor, making them forget their name, comedy stuff, street hypnosis stuff. But they were going, "Wow, you can do that stuff." And so at that point, I realized there's no difference. I hear it when sometimes I hear, people say, "Well, it's not like that stage stuff. The stuff I do is therapy. It's not like that stage stuff or that street hypnosis stuff." When really, the hypnosis is the same. The suggestions are different. Instead of saying you forgot your name, you say you forgot your anxiety. Now, as you know, I'm simplifying the whole situation there, but at its base terms, hypnosis is the same. So if getting out there to practice and play around and understand how this art works is so important. And as I say, you can't do that with a fruit bowl. You have to find human beings. You know,
it's really, really amazing. But before I get back to that aspect of the crossing between street or stage hypnosis and therapy, but first of all, I'd like to ask you a little bit how from that moment on, where you were in the airport, how did you develop the skills? How did you develop your skills and became a better hypnotist? Did you train a lot in street hypnosis scenarios or
so again
stage?
for long enough, and well, again, being slightly older than yourself, my kids were a bit older at the time, so it would have been my son would have been 19 10 years ago, and it was actually on Christmas Day, and I hypnotized my sister-in-law. And I don't know if you have a sister-in-law, but
not yet.
There you go. Say no more. But you know, for some people, there's that bit of tension between the in-laws. I mean, we're friendly enough, but if I was to look out the window and say it looks a bit dark today, she would probably say, "Oh,
I understand the concept. I understand the concept."
So up until Christmas Day, you had hypnotized a few people, nieces and nephews, and my son had said, you know, this stuff's not working. This is not real. They're just playing along because Uncle Turan's doing it. They're not letting you down. They're just putting it on. But I hypnotized my sister-in-law, and she would never forget her name just to play along. So she couldn't say her name. She couldn't remember the number 7. I'd made that number disappear from her mind. And my son went,
That's conquering family. That's conquering family. Would you agree with that?
So he started to learn it and asked me about it. And I taught him everything I'd read up on and learned. And he started to borrow my books. In fact, he started off with Dave Ellman's hypnotherapy book, which is not an easy read. It's quite a heavy read to be the first book to start with. And next thing, we went out on the streets of Belfast. We went out just on the streets. He would hold the camera and I would hypnotize someone, then I'd hold the camera and he would hypnotize someone. Okay. As you see here, I've got a YouTube channel. The name is Feel Good Hypnosis, if you want to check that out. And you'll see him and myself out there on the streets of Belfast, just having fun. And for me, that was really empowering to just really practice lots and lots of times, very quick, entertaining people without the pressure.
Next time we meet in person, either it's in a Congress worldwide or if I go to Northern Ireland. So we're gonna take the rest off our shoulders. So we're gonna practice again to get the ball rolling again. So it's a promise, okay? But tell me something. What do you think are your favorite street hypnosis routines? What you most enjoy on those street hypnosis routines? Again,
and even what you said as well there about your very first one was just finger magnets. When I'm teaching people, when I'm guiding people, even people that know hypnosis, but hypnotherapists say, "Oh, where do I start with street hypnosis?" It doesn't have to be a really technically complicated. Just showing people finger magnets or magnetic
motor
together. Yeah. When we've been doing it a while, think, well, we want to do something different, we want something more exciting, but that base stuff, just creating catalepsy by sticking people's feet to the floor so they can't move from the spot. That's mind.
So even those simple demonstrations really hook on people because they feel fascinated, and it's the most amazing to see people fascinated with the phenomena and understanding hypnosis, right?
That's it.
And something that we were talking a little bit back, you were saying then that it was that time that you were on that gathering, if I understood correctly, and there were also hypnotherapists. So tell me a little bit more about that transition to hypnotherapy. You start finding out that, okay, maybe what I do is the same. The suggestion may be different, but actually we're kind of doing the same. So how did that transition flow from one thing to the other?
Well, that's it. I'm now doing this as a full-time hypnotherapist. I say hypnotist first because I don't like the word therapy. You know, again, depends on country to country or location to location. For me personally, therapy means sitting for 600 hours on a couch and telling all about the story. And that's not what hypnosis is. Not the way I do it, not the way anybody I've heard doing it. Hypnosis is a lot quicker and going straight to the unconscious mind and getting that person to connect with themselves. So yes, I'm a hypnotist for full time now for 4 years, coming on 5 years, helping people change. But I had no plans to do that. You know, like I say, I had a career, I had a job in software and in engineering. But just doing this street hypnosis, just having fun, people would come up to me and say, you know, that stuff you just did with him, making his feet stick to the floor, making him forget his names, you know, can you help me sleep better? Can you stop me smoking? You know, people would come up to me on the street and just ask me. So I realized, you know, I hadn't studied formally on any therapy, you know, training at that stage, but I thought if I can just say, you know, forget your name or forget the number 7 or whatever, I can say, forget you ever smoked. And dare I say it, without much therapy training, that's what I did. I said, yeah, let me meet you up at the weekend and we'll do that. I'll hypnotize you. And I had great success with it. And I thought, right, I have a responsibility now to do a bit more training and look into.
So you kind of went first from the real skills and then from the formal training in hypnosis, in hypnotherapy, sort of saying.
Indeed.
And actually, I have this kind of a tricky question because do you think that in the hypnosis community, we have lots of people joining in now? It's a community that's getting wider and more vast around the world. But whenever I'm in those congresses that we have been, sometimes I see lots of people that are really passionate about helping people, but sometimes I see them more as therapists than hypnotists. Do you think, on your opinion, that it's important to be like a real deal hypnotist rather than just a therapist, with no disrespect, but someone that's only on the script basis and just saying the same stuff all over again, hoping that it works, then doesn't have the self-confidence to be a hypnotist? So
yeah, you know, there's a lot of people obviously contradict what's the word, you know, complain about this idea of script hypnosis where you just read a script. I've never done that, you know, but because, you know, I went out on the streets and no idea who I was going to meet, so I didn't know who my client would be for that day, you know, the subject, the person I was going to work with. I didn't know what I was going to do until I just got in the moment, and I thought, you know, I'm going to stick their feet to the floor, or for this person, I'm going to make them think, you know, they can see ghosts or whatever, you know. So for me, it was all about improvisation. It was working on the spot with the client, looking at them and say, you know what, to do such and such a routine would be boring. I'm going to do this instead. And that's what I carried through into my, you know, therapy work. Like I said, I don't even like the word therapy because, again, it conjures up these ideas of, as you say, you know, just sitting and talking to people. And that's not what hypnosis is about. It's about me facilitating them getting their conscious wants with their unconscious habits and allowing their unconscious mind to say, is that what you really want? You want to stop smoking? You know, okay, I'll do it. So I'm just removing that barrier between the unconscious mind and the conscious mind and getting that conversation going. And it's really about them rather than about any script or any fixed pattern.
Yeah, completely agree with that. And now, as I mentioned before, you kind of start giving back to the community. So we all have a path, a journey, and then it's time to give back to others that are doing the path. So how actually are you at the moment collaborating with the community, and how did that start?
Well, I said, like I say, I went to Hypnothoughts Live for a couple of years in a row, and you know, got a lot of good. So I highly recommend. Like I say, obviously I'm biased because this is the way I learned, just picking up books, going to conventions and stuff. And as you say, you get a great value out of seeing lots of, you know, 1 hour, 2 hour presentations, getting bombarded with different techniques, because hypnosis is not one thing. And I see that a lot with clients. Clients just think, you're going to do this like you're going to build a house, or you're going to build it with a hammer or the saw. But you know, there's 101 tools to building a house. There's 101 tools to working with hypnosis, and you get to see everyone's different style, everyone's different technique, and you get to say, well, I like this and I like that, and I'm going to put those together, and that's going to be my technique. So by year 3, I thought, right, I need to give something back to this community because they've helped me so much, and so I started talking to Hypnothoughts Live.
And now you're teaching, basically you're teaching, right?
That's it. And I do sort of like a 2-day introduction course. I haven't sort of expanded to a more detailed course yet, but an introduction to just how to hypnotize, and for people to get out on the streets and play with it at parties. Because it's, you know, I never, like I said, I never went into this with the idea of helping people with therapy. I just wanted to experience it and understand it. And I think, you know, I'm a better parent for understanding this stuff. I'm a better person, a better,
of course.
Back then I was an employee. I was a high management employee, but I was still an employee, better employer and an employee, a better manager. Because of these,
I think you become a better human being and you understand better the human being in others also. So it's it's kind of like if you start feeling that you can communicate with people on a deeper level. It's really amazing, right?
That's it. You know, people also often say, you know, are you using hypnosis now on me? And when you realize what hypnosis is, it's about communications. It's about, you know, so it's everything. So it's hard not that I'm overly hypnotized.
Once you are a hypnotist, it's hard not to not be a hypnotist. So
That's
everywhere in the gas station, from the stores, wherever you are.
That's it.
And tell me, Turan, do you have any advice for those people that are starting out? What's probably your best advice that you could give them?
Well, I practically covered it already from the point of view of, you know, I feel, I'm biased again, but listen to my journey and how it's helped me, and again, I've now helped a lot of very, you know, troubled people with anxieties, depressions, whatever. It's just do the street hypnosis, get out there, practice. And if it's just stopping someone and getting them to do magnetic fingers and magnetic hands, sooner later you'll get that bug and say, well, I want to do the next trick. I want to do the next trick. I want to create some amnesia. I want them to, you know, see something that's not there. You know, in the moment you look down, you'll see a beautiful kitten. You know, make sure they don't have a fear of cats or whatever. But, you know, and just get them to really engage with that imagination through hypnosis. That's my best advice. You know, don't put it off. And don't be in awe of these people. Like I say, when I first went in that training, everybody's going, wow, you can do street hypnosis. Yeah, that's just fun stuff. You're helping people change. You know, I couldn't understand their point of view. They couldn't see my point of view. So it's practice. And you don't want to practice. You don't want to practice, you know, in the therapy room per se. You don't want to learn a new technique and say, right, I need to wait till I'm in with a paying client. That's a bit of a, you know, slightly awkward way of doing it. Likewise, you don't want to, a lot of people say, well, I do it for free just to practice it. But again, there's value in setting up a real session, a paying client, because you're working with them. But you want, when you're working with clients, you want them to be paying, you want you to be showing off.
And it's a fair trade. It's a fair trade because you're giving so much. Because once you see someone dissolving a problem of years in front of you, that's priceless, honestly, because sometimes you change someone's life for the better, and it has no price, really. I have just 2 more questions, and then we wrap it up, maybe. This is just get your insights on maybe the future of hypnosis and where this community is going. So what do you actually think it's going to be the future of hypnosis with this also neuroscience studies and stuff? How do you think on your imagination? So this is to play a little bit with your imagination, because we will never know. We'll have to wait and see. But what do you think about that?
I mean, again, I think culturally, thanks to Hollywood movies, perhaps, where you know, a lot of the bad guys seem to hypnotize people. Hypnosis. So I don't know, in your neck of the woods where you live, you know, the reputation of hypnosis is, but really for me, in the, you know, coming years, the immediate plan is just to re-educate people on how wonderful and how effective hypnosis can be.
Mm-hmm.
Still in Northern Ireland, maybe it's a bit of a Bible Belt type situation here, where people say, "Oh, that's the devil's work," and it's
Okay,
you know,
okay, good.
so it's getting it back into that. Thankfully, you see a lot of these research papers coming out now. You know, as you said, it's very much about neuroscience and how the science of how we think. My background, as I said at the beginning, is an engineer.
You're a science guy also, like
Exactly.
me. Also, I'm also an engineer.
Very
So
good.
we have
Yeah.
that feeling of something scientific. So
That's it.
we're not the kind of people to look at just a phenomenon and say, oh, this is just magic. No, but it's true. There's something happening, and neuroscience will get there.
That's
And
it.
I tell you what, Turan, in Portugal, I think the last 5 years changed a lot. So maybe 3-4 years changes everything, because 3-4 years ago we're still on that like kind of devilish activity, but
Yeah.
now things are changing. Not
Right.
not perfect yet in Portugal, but I start to see some more people coming up and saying something. Oh, I have a problem. I came to hypnosis. And I said, did you do any therapy prior? And the person, no, this is my first choice. And I say, okay, something is changing. It's
You're on the
not the
right.
majority, because sometimes it's the worst case scenario. People did everything and then they come to hypnosis, right? But it's kind of enjoyable, and 3-4 years can change a lot, and it's going to happen definitely.
Excellent.
And the last question before we wrap up, and do you think there's still something to be done or experienced with hypnosis? Do you think there's some sort of application that hasn't even been tested or experienced? Do you have any insight, or just never thought about it? I'm just stretching your mind now.
Indeed. No, I think the mind. Thankfully, that I am very proud of the fact that our human brain is probably the most complex machine in the world. We see a lot on the news these days about computer artificial intelligence, and great things are being done there, but they're a long way to go before they'll match the power of the human brain. So I will not ever claim that I know everything about how the brain works, or 100% how hypnosis works. It's a complex thing. So there's still lots to learn, and it's a wonderful journey. And I just love I love talking about it. Thanks for having me on here and chatting about it again today, because it's a lovely subject. It empowers people so much when they know how their mind works. And I'm just thinking of a client I had on Wednesday there, and he's just saying, oh, I don't know why I feel different. I says, well, don't search for
don't
why.
bother about the why. Enjoy feeling
Enjoy
different.
the new experience. And it's beautiful to see people change. Hypnosis is a great subject. Almost in a way, this is not magic, right? Like I said at the beginning,
it seems like
coin
it
vanishes.
still seems like, and that's the most important part.
But it is in its own way. It is magical. It's the same. One of my Google reviews about 6 months ago, and they said, you worked miracles. And I'm sort of going, on the one hand, that's a great advert for me. But on the other hand, I'm trying to stay away from this religious idea that this is miraculous stuff. So I'm caught between the two, because I want people to say wonderful things about me and my services, but at the same time, I don't want to cross that boundary or insult anyone. This is not religion. This is not magic. It's about science of the way we work, and there's lots to learn. So I'm looking forward to what we find out next. There's 101 different techniques, as I say.
We have to keep contributing. We have to keep doing that.
That's it. So it's about giving back, and this is why I enjoy. I'm very proud of the fact, like I say, last weekend, speaking at the Zurich Hypnosis Convention, International Convention, as you were, and sadly, today should have been day one of the UK Hypnosis Convention.
That's true. That's true. We're supposed to be in London by this time, so. It's I had my vacation scheduled because I wanted to go there, and actually I wanted to get to know something more about the UK. So,
but rightly so with this COVID situation.
We're scheduled for next year, right? I think they'll keep,
we're already on the
event for next year. Yeah. Okay, Turan. So just to wrap this up, I know that in your logo people can have the website. So, but I was still going to ask you, how can people find you? So perhaps they have to look at those.
Yeah, it's written all over me, as the saying goes.
So you don't have a problem, people.
Today is the website. If you want to check out the website, if you go on any of the figure out where I am here, the Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram, or Twitter, just search for Feel Good Hypnosis. Look out for this logo here, and you'll find me. And please subscribe, like, connect with me privately, whatever you want to do. I can talk for hours on this subject. Don't want to bore everyone watching this video today, but I can talk for hours about it. So please do connect with me if you want any ideas, any thoughts. Always lovely to connect with people.
Lovely, amazing. Okay, so that's it, Turan. So it's time to wrap up this second episode of Mário Lima Hypnosis podcast. Then again, Turan, thank you very much for being on this podcast. I wish all the best to you, and I'm pretty sure we're gonna meet very in the near future in one of those events, and it's gonna be awesome. We're gonna keep doing some new stuff. Okay, so it's bye for now to the viewers, and take care, Turan.
Bye.
Take care.